CO2, the authors chose institutional analysis, market environmentalism, and political economy. For uranium, the authors chose risk assessment, political economy, and social construction. And like for water, they chose other things like population studies. So which three approaches would you choose for this? Here, yeah, like what I would do is I would see which of the three are easiest to study this object, which is South African wine. This is just an exercise, but I want to be very clear. This is how the questions are going to be. This is what I don't care that you are 48 hours and that you can have all the books and internet.
Political
Questions
economy.
require your analysis, not like memory. Yes?
Political economy would be an easy one to choose.
You would choose political economy?
Yeah, one of the three.
And how would you do that? So here is political economy, is the pink one.
Yeah, I would talk about capitalism, about primitive accumulation, about commodities, commodification in this case, and in the bottle wine and the conditions of production connected with the labor and environmental justice, maybe not. First contradiction of capitalism also. Yeah, I think these four terms. Overaccumulation.
Okay. So that's something I want to say. When you do this exercise, you need to be very precise with your concepts. That is why I put all the concepts here in these boxes. Because you cannot say, okay, I choose political economy and I say that there's capitalism and that's why the people in South Africa are poor. That will get you a very bad exam. So since you are scholars and you are doing a master's in science, you need to be very specific. So like a little bit what Bruno was saying. So Bruno can say, yeah, like in this case, we can see perhaps a case of overaccumulation because we are seeing that they are trying to create a new market, which is the market of cheap wine. And that is why they are sort of forcing growers of wine to sell their wine as a commodity, as a bulk commodity. And then every time you say something, you need to define the concept. That is what academic writing is about. And I told many of you when I graded your papers in water governance. Every time you introduce a concept, you define it. That is academic writing. Like your point of departure is that I don't know anything, so you need to explain me like if I was a kid. Every concept that you use, you explain it. If you're going to quote exactly the same words, you put the page. You can say, yeah, like I see an event development because of the history of the VOC and the history of exploitation in South Africa. You can talk. Guess who this man with glasses is? It's Albert Heijn. He was very rich. He was the creator of the supermarket Albert Heijn. Have you seen Albert Heijn, the supermarket?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That can be one way. What would be a second one? Because remember, I said three.
Environmental ethics.
how would you analyze that? Let's go to environmental ethics.
Um, I would essentially connect it with um, the fact that this can we look at it as externality and
But that wouldn't be environmental ethics. Me myself, I wouldn't choose environmental ethics. Like I could try, but it's not. For
Yeah,
me,
I
it's
think
not the
it's
easiest.
yeah.
uh,
Maybe market.
Yeah.
I think market's very easy, especially because in the report we see how before bottled wine was more popular, and then recently it changed to bulk wine. So really, the market has been influencing a lot of things, and even the report is about the market itself.
Yeah, but what else?
Um,
Like if I like I love wine. So I want to continue drinking South African wine. And I guess Diva made the question yesterday, what can I do?
mhm.
So what I could do, if you look at the picture on the right, is that I could buy what?
labeled branded South African wine.
Yes, and yeah, organic wine. Organic South African wine. And it wouldn't entail paying more. So I guess you could also look at it, yeah, from the market, from bottle to bulk,
And also the
but also
monopoly.
it will be green consumption and it will be a monopoly too. Yeah, because then if you force people to sell you by bulk, uh, then they would you would create a monopoly because you would be the only one buying it. But also you can analyze it like through green consumption. So like one way out according to the market would be to, and I think that's what Somo is trying to do. Somo is not saying, okay, let's change the means of production and the Netherlands should pay reparations for slavery. No, they are saying simply, let's create market tools to make this a little bit better. And these market tools are green consumption. Remember? Green consumption is like when we buy things that have logos of free trade or organic food, uh, like dignity in labor, and they will be a little bit more expensive. So that's I would also choose this one. And what else? What will be the third one?
Risk.
Yes, yes, exactly. For me, I would do risk. Um, so I would maybe use the example she gave on how women went into fields that had just been sprayed with pesticides. Um, I would perhaps think about um, the political economy of hazards. Um, there, an ant is where you can find externalities too. And yeah, so remember, these approaches are to analyze socio-natural relations. So risk and hazards analyzes socio-natural relations through the management of risk. And that is what Somo was also doing. Remember what she said? What did they do? They asked the supermarkets to do risk assessment. So when you look at the product, at the problem, at an object through different approaches, these approaches don't need to be critical. Like I think the most critical approach is always political economy or the construction of nature. But some of them can be the approaches that the industry itself is using to solve this problem. So, for example, in the case of the wine, they are using market environmentalism, risk assessment. And you can say also, okay, I want to analyze it through the lens of political economy, but that would be more critical. So in your essay, you can divide it into like, first you go with maybe the things that are being done, like market environmentalism or risk assessment, and leave political economy for the end as a critique. But for you to do this, you would first need to talk a little bit about the history of this wine. So in a way, what I would be asking you to do is to create your own chapter of this book. Like chapter 13, South African wine, by, I don't know, like your name. And then you do the history of wine. Why? Because you have the time and you have read the report, and then you try to see it through different approaches. I won't do it with the wine, but there will be one question like that. And this would be the question of the exam that will take more time. That is why you need to have read everything and studied a lot so that you will be ready. You have your summaries, so you choose the 3 approaches and then you just start working. But if you're gonna wait till that day to read, there is no way you're going to finish. So this is just advice. Okay?
Tatiana,
Yes?
maybe do you think overall from our quizzes that we are like on the right track in general?
Yeah, I before before you submit your individual assessment, you will have the feedback on your quizzes. I think, yeah, because, but my fear is that the quizzes were very straightforward. No, like what is environmental justice? What is the enclosure laws? So in a way, what you had to do was read